Hey guys, my name is Amanda. Welcome to my channel. I'm so happy to have you here today. In this video, I'm going to share with you my favorite 23 DIYs of 2023. So if you are new to my channel and like what you see, please consider subscribing. If you do subscribe, please don't forget to hit the bell button so you're notified every time that I upload. Also, giving me a big thumbs up really helps me out here on YouTube. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how I made this gorgeous farmhouse style tray using Dollar Tree items. I have these two rounds from Dollar Tree that have this gorgeous beading on them. I'm going to remove the beads and use them for another project, but I also have these little wood slices from Dollar Tree as well. I actually used 2 packages, so you'll need 1 package for each of these little rounds. So here I am just cutting off these wood bead hangers, and then I'm just going to take a package of the wood slices, and I actually went through mine because there are different sizes. I removed the really large ones so that I have around the same size of little wood slices, and then I just began hot gluing them all around the brim of this circle. And now you can use a longer term adhesive if you like, but hot glue actually worked fairly well for me, so I'm just carefully placing them down. Do watch your fingers on this part until they meet up, and then I have a nice little wood round framed out with these wood slices. So I'm going to be doing this twice, of course, for our tray. So here is what that is going to look like, and now you can use anything you want for the riser of the tray. I didn't have a lot of options, so I grabbed these 2 wood blocks from Dollar Tree that I had stained in a previous project and glued together, and then they weren't quite high enough for what I wanted, so I decided to glue wood slices to the top and bottom just to rise them a little bit. So I just fit 4 wood slices on the top using some hot glue, and I did the same to the bottom, and this just makes my pillar a little bit higher, and I think it also adds a little bit of cute character if you're looking at it from the side. So just kind of do a dry fit and make sure everything looks okay before gluing it down, and then you will have the pillar or the riser part of this tiered tray. Then I'm just going to place hot glue right on top of those wood slices and glue it down directly to the middle of my bottom tray, and then I will apply some hot glue to the top of this pillar, and I'll place my top tray right down on top, just being careful to center it. Hot glue is a little bit merciful in giving you a few seconds to move things around before it sets, so just make sure that it is centered. And here is what you have, an absolutely gorgeous little tiered tray. Now the sides of the wood rounds, as you can see, Dollar Tree wasn't quite consistent with the color of those, so you could paint those little tiny sides of the wood rounds if you wanted to, but I think that it just adds character, and I think that this little tiered tray is adorable. I placed it on my coffee bar with some more of my farmhouse decor, and I absolutely love how it looks. So for the next one, I like to purchase my wood rounds from Hobby Lobby. Dollar Tree does have a smaller version. Hobby Lobby has a couple of different sizes that you can usually get 40 or 50% off, and you can get a 6-pack for the same price as a 3-pack, but the 3-pack is thicker. So this wood round is one of the thicker wood rounds that come in a 3-pack. Again, I got it 40% off. Now, as for this buffalo check burlap, you can buy something similar most of the year, but I got this after Christmas for 75% off. It was a great deal, and usually it would be 50% off if you caught it on a sale. I cut 2 pieces that will go across the width of my wooden circle. I stained my wood round with this shade of Minwax, but you can use any shade that you like. Here's what it looks like, and then it's time for florals. These particular florals came from Walmart and maybe a mixture of Dollar Tree, but the eucalyptus and most of that lavender is from Walmart. You can get a big bunch for just a couple of dollars. So I snipped that all apart, and I glued each individual piece right down to my wood round. First I placed it the way I wanted it, and then finally came in and glued it. Now I'm going to come in and make my pocket by laying one of the strips across the wood round right on top of those florals, and I'm just going to use my cutter to make a rounded circle on the fabric so when I glue it to the back it's not quite as messy. This isn't necessary, I just wanted the back to look as neat as possible. Now I'm coming in with my second strip and doing the same thing, just kind of rounding the sides and then flipping my wood round over and gluing this down to form a pocket. I placed my florals first because I thought that would be easier for me to get my pocket tight, but you can do it any way that you like. So customizable. You can also use burlap or fabric if you don't like what I used. And here's a ribbon that I'm going to come in with. This is from Dollar Tree. It's a beautiful crochet lace ribbon. I am going to stretch it across the first layer of burlap and the second layer of burlap. Now my layers of burlap, the checks do not match up. I thought it was cute that way and added a little bit of interest, but if you wanted your checks to match up, you could do that as well. Now I'm just coming in with a little bit more florals just to fill it out along the line where it meets that burlap. And now I'm going to create a bow by taking a piece of my buffalo check burlap, cutting it down the center to make it a little bit thinner. I'm then going to fold it over like so and pinch it in the middle to create a cute little bow. I'm going to tie where I pinched with a piece of jute twine, but you could also use a zip tie or a pipe cleaner, chenille stem, whatever you like and works for you. Just remember, the tighter that you cinch your bow in the middle, the more you can fluff it out. I'm then going to cut off my excess of jute twine and fluff my bow, arrange my bow. Working with this stiff fabric does make a cute bow as long as you remember to pull it tight. I am then going to attach it to the top of my wood round at an angle the way that I like it and continue to arrange it. I'm also going to add a little bow with that crochet lace fabric right in the middle, and here's what it looks like. I think that this is absolutely adorable, so customizable, and it looks super cute with my buffalo check coffee bar. This next DIY is inspired by Clutterbug. Here's the beautiful, gorgeous wreath that she made, and here is mine inspired by her. So not exactly the same, but I got this inspiration from her. She is so funny. I recently found her. I really enjoy her channel. So you'll need 6 ropes from Dollar Tree. Now my rope was the thicker rope. I believe it is 6 foot, but of course if you find a different size of rope, you can just adjust depending on what you think is best. But I gathered my 6 pieces up, I cut them in the middle, and then I took it and tied a piece of twine tightly around one end. So now I have 12 pieces. I'm going to begin braiding my 12 pieces with sections or groups of 4. Now she braided hers on top of her wreath form to help her get the shape. I just kind of braided mine on the table and then just adjusted once I laid it on top of my wreath form. But you can do whatever works best for you. I'm just spreading out each section so that all 4 ropes in that section are nicely visible. Once I come to the end of my rope, I'm going to have some more twine on hand to tie it up. Of course, you could use a zip tie or a pipe cleaner, a rubber band, whatever you have on hand. I am out of zip ties, so this is what I did. And then I just cut off the jagged ropes at the end. And here you have your thick and beautiful braid. Now I laid it down on top of my wreath form, which is the large wreath form that Dollar Tree carries, not the extra large, so one size down from the largest. Now, once I get it laid on my wreath form, I'm just going to arrange each section. I actually did have to untie one end and just kind of fix that, but it really wasn't too much trouble. And then I just kind of made sure my ropes were all tight and in position. I tied either end on with more twine. As you can see, each end is tied to my wreath form. I flipped it over and added a generous amount, a boatload I guess, of hot glue through the back, and then flipped it back over, and I glued each section down to the section before it, as you can see me doing. So my rope is attached to itself and not just the wreath form, but I did use a generous amount of glue. And if you wanted to cover the back of this wreath form with some craft paper or even some cardboard cut to size, that would be a great idea. Next, I'm taking some florals from Dollar Tree. Of course, you could customize this with any florals you like, but I just began with 4 before I realized I was going to need several more. These stems are a little sparse, but I just took 2 of them and swagged them either way like you saw me do, and I tied that to the wreath form and glued it down. Then for my other 2 stems, I took everything off and just began adding it around and onto the first 2 with some hot glue. Then I found in my stash probably about 5 more stems worth. So I'm going to say that I used about 9 stems to create the floral part of my wreath. Now, unfortunately, I did lose a little bit of footage where I had just taken some twine and wrapped it around the middle of the florals after I completed using the 4 stems so that I would have some surface area to glue my remaining florals to. And as you can see, they're just all taken off of their stem, and I'm just gluing them down where I think they look nice and where I think they should be. So for about $15, you can create this absolutely gorgeous wreath that's beautiful for a wall or a door. I just love it. I think it is so elegant, and I'm so glad that I found Clutterbug's YouTube channel. I can't wait to get more inspiration from her, so definitely check her out. For this next DIY, we're going to be using one of Dollar Tree's new round signs with the beaded top and the paneling on the front. And then we're going to be using 2 of these beaded hearts left over from Valentine's Day. I am going to go ahead and flip my little round sign over, and I'm going to place the 2 hearts tip to tip on top of the sign. I'm going to glue them down using generous amounts of hot glue, but you could use a stronger term adhesive if you wanted to, like an E6000 or a super glue. This worked out okay for me. Flipping it back over, I'm going to paint the edge of my sign with this yellow color by Folk Art, and then I'm going to take this beautiful ribbon from Hobby Lobby. You can get it on sale right now, 40% off, and I'm going to create a big beautiful bow by looping it over so that I have 2 loops on either side like so, just folding it over. This is what I call my X bow, and once I get that done, I'm going to cut off the excess on the other side, flip it back over, pinch it tightly in the middle, and once I get it pinched, I'm going to use a piece of twine, but you could also use a pipe cleaner or a zip tie, whatever you have on hand. You just want this cinched in the middle as tight as possible. I'm not going to cut off the excess twine yet because I'm going to use this for another layer of ribbon, which I'm going to create exactly the same way, just a little bit smaller, and tie it right on there, tying tightly. I'm going to flip this over to the back and tie again. This bow is not going anywhere. And then I'm just going to tie on my tails, which is just another strip of ribbon that I bunch in the middle with that same piece of twine. Then you can go ahead and remove the excess of twine by just cutting it off and dovetail the tails of your ribbon, which just means you're folding your ribbon in half and cutting a triangle upward. Then you can give your bow a nice fluffing by just inserting your fingers inside of those little loops and puffing it right out. You'll have a gorgeous bow. I just attached mine to the top side of my B here, and then you can go ahead and add some words to the front of this. I printed out kind words are like honey. It was an image on Cricut Design Space, but again, if you don't have Cricut, no worries, my friend. Dollar Tree has beautiful stickers. You can cut out shapes on vinyl from Dollar Tree. You can use stamps or whatever you have on hand. You can print out something on your computer and trace on the back of it. So many options to get wording or images in the middle of this. So for this next one, I'm going to show you how I made this adorable Highland cow picture using mostly Dollar Tree items. Of course, if you don't like cows for decor, you could substitute that image with any other image of your liking. Okay, so I have my image that I printed out on Cricut Design Space. You just type Highland Cow into images and you'll get several choices. I have 2 pieces of scrapbook paper that I liked from Hobby Lobby and also a wood round from Hobby Lobby. Now, Dollar Tree does sell some wood rounds. I couldn't happen to find one, but if you get a package from Hobby Lobby at 50% off, it is almost the same or relatively the same price if you break it down. Now I'm going to coat my wood round very heavily in this glue stick, and then I'm going to take the piece of scrapbook paper that I had cut to the size, and I'm going to cut down the middle of it, and then I'm just going to make it into 2 equal pieces like so that when I place it on my wood round, there is a gap in the middle which I can fill in with the second type of scrapbook paper. So here you can customize scrapbook papers any way that you like. I had just gotten a farmhouse packet at Hobby Lobby and decided to use these. So now I'm going to take beaded wreath round from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut off the tag and place it on top of my prepared sign. I'm going to use hot glue to glue it down. Now at first I was a little worried about the paper lifting. This really didn't happen. Only in one little spot did the paper lift, and I actually just put some hot glue between the paper and the wood round in the spot which the paper lifted up a little bit. And once I did that, this was all nice and firmly attached, and then you can go ahead and add in whatever image that you like. Again, I got this from Cricut Design Space. I just used some transfer tape to transfer it to the paper on the round. I will say, if you're going to be doing this, maybe fuzz your transfer tape a little bit so it doesn't stick to your paper too badly, but this worked out really well for me, and here's my adorable image. I do recommend going over that image and all of your scrapbook paper with some Mod Podge just to make it last longer and make it a little bit more resistant to the elements. And then I just formed a little bow with some Dollar Tree ribbon like so. I just wanted a small little bow to cover up in the middle of the circular beads where you can kind of see that wire. So I'm just going to tie my bow in the middle with some twine, but you could use a pipe cleaner or a zip tie, whatever you like. And then I'll be placing it down right on top of that spot to cover up the little place that I had just mentioned. Once that is done, you can manipulate your tails a little bit and get them to lay exactly how you want. Even tack them down with a little bit of hot glue if necessary. And I do like to dovetail my tails, which is cutting a triangle upward. This just gives a finished and boutique look. So here's what this looks like. I think it is absolutely adorable for just a couple of dollars. I hope that you like this one as well. Okay, let's move into the next one. Dollar Tree has these little houses right now, and they're actually shelf sitters. They're quite thick and very sturdy, and I love the way they look. They come in a couple of different varieties. So I grabbed up some more scrapbook paper that was in that same scrapbook pack that I had purchased from Hobby Lobby, but any scrapbook paper or even Dollar Tree contact paper would work. You just cut it to size. I like to put some glue stick on the item itself and also on my paper, and then just smooth the paper down. I'll be Mod Podging over the paper later, but initially to get it to hold down, I like to use a glue stick so there isn't so much bumping or wrinkling from the Mod Podge. So here's what that looks like. And then I have some Dollar Tree rub-on transfers. I just chose the one that I liked, and then I'm just going to be varnishing it on right on top of that paper. So Dollar Tree has a lot of different choices of rub-on transfers, or you could use stickers or your Cricut, whatever you like. So here's some more little greenery rub-on transfers that I put on there. And then I went over the face of this with some Mod Podge. Here is another little house that I did the same way with a different piece of paper and some more of those rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree. Your Cricut tool works really well to help you rub on this transfer, and just carefully lift the film. If you see anything coming up with your film, you can place it back down and just varnish or rub a little bit more. But here's what these look like. Very inexpensive, very, very cute, and just perfect for a tier tray or vignettes. Moving on to the next one. Quick, easy farmhouse sign. I'll love you till the cows come home. Grabbed one of Dollar Tree's new rectangular signs that are faux wood or pressed wood, and I am going to be painting the inside of my sign with Waverly ink chalk paint. So I just used some painter's tape to protect my frame. If you are not as clumsy as me, this step may not be necessary, but I did not want to have to worry about mess on my frame. So I just gave it a generous coat of this ink colored chalk paint, but you could really use any color of paint if you're not interested in using a black color. I think white or a gray or even a different shade of tan would look really pretty. So once I have that all done, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the painter's tape, revealing my beautiful sign. So here it is. Now I have a cow and an expression from Cricut. I printed out the cow by searching Highland Cow, and I took it out of a larger image that had florals on it, and then I just made my own words that said "I'll love you till the cows come home." Now again, you could use any image that you want, and you could use rub-on transfer stickers or wall stickers from Dollar Tree. So there's a lot of options. I just really thought that this was cute and wanted to make a little sign. This was so quick and easy. You could embellish this with a bow if you wanted to, or put some of those leftover beads from previous projects on the hanger. I just kind of like this as is. Next, you're going to want to up some of those metal cutout shapes or animals from Dollar Tree. I had this Dollar Tree beaded garland that is like a circular shape, and then I had one of these pigs, and I just wanted to jazz it up a little bit and combine these two just to make it look nicer. So I untied the hanger on the top of my pig, and then I am going to be untying my garland and using the beads from the garland to string onto my little pig. That will give him a fancier hanger. Of course, I am going to save that tassel, and I'm going to try and keep the rest of the ribbon intact, as we'll be using it later on in this video. No scraps left behind. So here I am just putting a tiny bit of glue on the end of my piece of twine, and that way it doesn't fray as much when I begin to place these beads on. Just picking a pattern that I like, I'm placing these beads on, and then my hanger will be complete. Once I get enough beads on, and I actually used 12 beads, I'm just going to go ahead and tie the end of my twine through the other hole in the top of the pig, and that will secure everything nicely. If you want to put a little dab of hot glue on top of your little knot just for security, then that would be absolutely fine, and then you're ready to continue to embellish this little pig. I'm going to be using some more of these rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree, but you could use letter stickers or you could use Cricut, whatever you like. I am going to be using the farmhouse words, but the little heart at the bottom in that home, I'm going to use that for my O. Right now I'm just showing you some different options as rub-on transfers if you prefer those, but here's what I went with. Again, I went with the farmhouse, and I did mess up my O a little bit. So that was kind of fate, because I did like the heart in the home at the bottom of this rub-on transfer, so I just use that heart as my O. So play around with it, get exactly what you like. I showed you, again, there's several different rub-on transfers you could use, but I just think that this jazzes up this project quite a bit, and I did put a coat of Mod Podge over my rub-on transfers on this pig just to hold them on nicely. And onto another DIY that is really easy and fun to make. I'm going to make this crate with Dollar Tree items. I have 2 of these little cutting boards. I have 2 wood planks. They're square. They come from Dollar Tree, 6 to a pack. But if you can't find them there, Walmart carries similar. And I also have 2 framed pictures from Dollar Tree from Christmas time. But if you don't have those, you could use wood planks from Dollar Tree. I'm going to untie the rope on the top of my cutting boards, and I'm going to paint all of my pieces with Waverly white chalk paint. I don't paint inside the frames, and you will see why, but I do paint both sides of my cutting boards. I paint the back of my frames, and I paint one side of my wood planks. I then choose some scrapbook paper that I like, lay it down on my frame,
I use my fingernail to create a crease so I know where to cut. I cut it out, and then I'm going to use glue stick on my frame backing and also on my scrapbook paper. Adhere my scrapbook paper by pressing firmly, and here's what it should look like. Now I have my 4 pieces and I'm going to begin assembling. So I'm going to put some glue on the end of the frame, and I'm going to stand it up and push it down on the side of one of my cutting boards like so. I do apply some more glue to the inside just for stability, and then I repeat the process on the other side, just standing up that frame, gluing it down. If you wanted to use a longer term adhesive like an E6000, that would be great, but this worked for me. I'm then going to put glue on the opposite ends of my frames and set the other cutting board on top, making sure that everything is straight. So here's what it looks like so far, and now I'm just going to flip the whole thing over, and to the bottom I am going to glue my 2 square wood planks from Dollar Tree. They're not going to cover the entire bottom, so if this bothers you, you could use a wood plank from Dollar Tree or even foam board cut to size, but I didn't mind the small gap on either side because I knew no one would see it. I placed a piece of floral foam inside, and you can glue your floral foam down if you want to. I don't care to do that. I just placed it inside. I know that this should not be getting bumped too much once I place it where I'm going to place it. Now I just filled it up with some florals from Walmart. I got these cute little pink roses in a large bunch. I think it was $3.44 or something like that. But Dollar Tree has gorgeous florals as well. And I also used this pick with some purple flowers on it from Walmart as well. I just filled it out to my liking, but again, totally customizable. I then took a dowel rod from my stash, painted it with that Waverly white chalk paint, and stuck it through the holes at the top. You can find dowel rods at Dollar Tree, or you can find an assortment pack at Walmart, which is what I had done. Here is what it looks like. I think it is so cute. It was so easy to construct. All of the pieces fit together nicely, but you could substitute if you don't have those exact pieces. But I love the idea.
Jump into our next DIY, another customizable DIY. I'm going to show you how I made this homemade, if I have to stir it, it's homemade rolling pin sign. Here is some Pioneer women fabric that I purchased at Walmart. So I'm just showing you each piece here. This is what I'm going to use for my rolling pin, and I'm going to use these 2 Farm Fresh cutting boards from Dollar Tree. I'm going to flip them over, and I am going to glue on the busy side. I just used a spare piece of wood I had in my stash, but you could use popsicle sticks or whatever you had on hand. Then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to paint my handles with white chalk paint by Waverly. Now you could paint the whole thing if you wanted to, but I don't have a lot of paint, so I just did this, knowing that I was going to apply a generous coat of Mod Podge and then spread my fabric tightly over the top. I just pull it and stretch it so there is no wrinkles, and then once my fabric is in position, I'm going to Mod Podge over that again. Once everything is dry, I'm just going to trim around the edges and make sure that I have a nice clean finish. I then had this gorgeous rope. It's almost like rope, but it is a cotton craft cord, and I recently found this at Hobby Lobby in several different colors. It's very inexpensive, so now it is my go-to. I'm just going to wrap it around several times on each of the handles, as I think that this looks really nice. Then I'm going to take a strip of burlap and cut it in half, as it was pretty thick, but I want an embellishment for either side of this rolling pin. I'm just going to glue this down on either side and wrap it around. Taking some more of that cotton cord, I'm going to run a strip on top of each side, right on top of that burlap, and I'm just going to cut it off at the sides and glue it down so it does not fray. And then here's what it looks like. So customizable, so cute. I did find the image on Cricut Design Space, but you could put anything you liked on there. Next is this amazing wood round that you can layer in several different ways. So I said wood round. This is faux wood, kind of that particle board from Dollar Tree, but you could use a real wood round if you wanted to. And I'm just going ahead and removing the tag and also any 3D pieces. And then I am gluing the handle or the hanger so that it goes straight up, so I can just put the fabric over top of it without having to worry about putting the handle through those holes. Now I'm just going to put a generous amount of hot glue all around the edges and push my fabric onto to it, pulling as tightly as possible. And I'm also going to push outward so any excess glue goes outward and I can just trim it off. You could also Mod Podge this if you wanted to, or if you had a really heavy glue stick or tacky glue, but this worked well for me, just trimming off any excess with a pair of sharp fabric scissors. Now here is what I have. Now here you have several options, my friend. You can layer fabrics. I had this beautiful blue fabric that actually came with this other fabric, and I had some burlap fabric. I'm going to show you what these fabrics look like in a package here in a minute, but I chose to take a piece of this beautiful blue fabric and lay it down on top of my floral pattern because my burlap is see-through and I didn't want to be able to see through to the busy background. So I just layered down this blue color, and then I took a strip of this burlap, and it is from Hobby Lobby. It was from the fall section. I believe I got it 90% off, but Dollar Tree carries burlap as well. And here is what this looks like. Now I just attached a hanger on the back with a piece of twine and a little piece of fabric. Now you could put a wooden word on here. You could put wooden bunnies from Dollar Tree, wooden carrots. You could do whatever you like. But here's how versatile this is. I'm actually taking a basket that I had on hand that wasn't being used, and I'm tying it onto my basket. I am then going to layer on this M that I got from the thrift store and painted, and this is just so cute for a nice layered project. I think this round piece would be so nice layered in many different ways, or like I said, you could add something to the front to make it its own sign. So this is just an idea for you. Let's make a tray using Dollar Tree items. I found this fabric at Dollar Tree. I thought it was beautiful and summery, as well as this little buffalo check tray at Dollar Tree and a placemat. You can use any placemat. I really just wanted it for the stability. I am going to lay my tray on top of the placemat and trace around it, and then I'm going to cut that piece of placemat out. Again, if you wanted to use something else like foam board, whatever you wanted, I just thought that this would give a really nice, sturdy, waterproof base. That way I could set whatever I like on my tray. Next, I'm going to take my fabric, but again, Dollar Tree sells tons of different fabric. I'm going to apply some Mod Podge to the back side of my placemat, place my fabric on top of it, and smooth it out. I will then flip the whole thing over and glue any excess fabric to the back of my little tray insert here. I'm doing my placemat upside down because I wanted the white side of the placemat under the fabric just so that that design would not show through. So here I am just pulling the edges nice and tight, and here is my nice insert for this tray. I'm just making sure that it fits. Now I'm going to lay down a bunch of hot glue on the inside of my tray and place the insert on top. You could paint this tray if you wanted to paint it one of those pretty colors that are in the designs of the fabric, but I thought the black and white check looked gorgeous. Next, I just Mod Podge over that fabric again, and here's what you have: a gorgeous summery tray I absolutely love for just a couple dollars and just a few minutes. This next one is perfect for a porch or a shed or a house. It is very lightweight and easy to hang. You begin with two of these garden fences from the Dollar Tree. This DIY I've seen in many different ways over the years on YouTube, but here's my take on it. I just turn the fences in opposite directions, and I use zip ties in 3 different spots to hold them together. I will be trimming off some of those little extra pieces that you see hanging down. I just use some wire cutters, and these snip right off. That one kind of flew a little bit, but now you just grab any sign that you have, and if you need to cut it down like I did for this particular sign to make it fit, I just carefully used a X-Acto knife, and I used another straight edge just to make sure that my line was straight. And then I just broke it off, and here's the piece of perfect length that I need. But Dollar Tree sells many different signs. They even sell some frame signs right now that would be perfect. I glued some zip ties to the back of my sign. I did make the glue a little bit long, so when I close my zip ties around my garden fence, I do pull up a little bit of the glue on either side, just closing up that zip tie, but that is okay. I just pull my zip tie as tight as possible, and this actually worked out really well, just securing in those 3 spots. Flipping it back over, here is what it looks like. Then you can just begin to decorate any way that you like. Dollar Tree has this welcome and also this garden sign with unfinished wood that you can customize. I decided to go with the welcome, and I am going to paint it with a mixture of aqua and Waverly Plaster chalk paint. I then painted the little sprout coming out of the pot with Waverly celery. The pot is Waverly ballet slipper, and the little pitchfork is Waverly plaster. I then glued this welcome sign down onto my prepared sign. If you want to stop at just this, I think this is very beautiful and classy. I did remove a couple more of those little pieces of the garden fence that I didn't want to see through, kind of the pieces where you stake the garden fence into the ground. But I decided to take mine a step higher by just adding in some eucalyptus I had in my stash. I like to buy a long trailing bunch of this when it's 50% off at Hobby Lobby. And these little pink roses I purchased at Walmart. I just tucked a few of them in there just to kind of elevate this and bring in that garden look. But again, very customizable, very easy to make, lightweight, and I think it is just so pretty. I'm going to show you how I made this gorgeous little home round. Here's what it looks like. It was so fun and easy to make, and it's very customizable. So originally I was going to use this beaded wreath from Dollar Tree as well as this home sign from Dollar Tree. I ended up not using the beaded wreath, but Dollar Tree does carry that. I spray painted my home sign with Rust-Oleum's Vintage Blue, and I stained my medium-sized wood round with antique wax by just rubbing it on and then off. I left a spot in the middle of the round where I did not apply the wax, just so I could apply my glue there, because I have found that hot glue does not stick very well once it has been applied on top of antique wax. I then put these two rounds together, and I am using Waverly plaster to go over my home word. Once I get my word all done, I'm going to use the Waverly plaster remaining on my brush to go around the smaller home circle, just with a little marks all along the side. Right now I know that looks a little weird, but it's going to all be blended in. This actually came out really pretty. I'm taking a damp rag that I had applied some antique wax to and going right on top of those little dabs of the plaster chalk paint, and I'm even doing it over my home word. Then I'm taking a dry paper towel and wiping everything off, the plaster and the antique wax, and this is what it looks like. Just sort of dirties up the edges a little bit in a stylish way. I'm also going to do the same thing around or across the middle of the home circle, just going on with the plaster and then going on with my damp rag and my antique wax, and then rubbing that all off. I think that this gave this a very farmhousey, vintagey look, and it's really pretty. Next, I'm going to take this ribbon. I actually purchased it at Walmart, a very large roll. I think it was about $5, not bad at all, but Dollar Tree has tons of ribbons that you can purchase. I just cut one strip, folded it over to be a bow, and then cut another strip for tails. I tied them both together with a piece of twine. I cut off the excess of the twine and used hot glue to attach this to the top of my home sign. Of course, you could go a little bit to the side if you wanted to. I just thought it looked nice on top. And then I'm taking some boxwood greenery, which I usually purchase at Walmart, and I am going to be applying it to either side of this bow. But first I do dovetail my ends by just folding them in half and cutting a small triangle upward. Then I just use hot glue to stagger a few of these pieces of boxwood greenery that I removed from the stem on either side like so. You can get this as full or as sparse as you like. This DIY is very customizable. You could change your paint and wax colors. You could, of course, change your ribbon. You could even use different types of greenery. Eucalyptus would be pretty on either side of this, or even florals. So the sky is the limit, but I think this is very inexpensive, very cute, and a really nice addition to a vignette or even a door. This next DIY will be made using after square items. I'm going to show you how I made this family sign with a little house on it. So from the crafter's square, I have this fabric. I also have this framed sign, which I'd use for another project you'll see later in this video, and this standing house, which I'm going to be removing the back off of. But first, I am going to trace my fabric to fit the inside of my sign. Then I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to use a generous amount of Mod Podge on the inside of my sign and lay that fabric inside, spreading it out as flat as possible. Once I have it spread out and kind of stretched nice and flat, I'll then come in with another thick coat of Mod Podge right on top of that, and I'm going to allow that to dry. Do keep in mind that Crafter Square has a lot, like a whole ton of different fabric choices. If you choose to have a different fabric, they have florals, bees, all kinds of stuff. So this is customizable. Now for the house, like I said, I did break off the little standing piece so that I could glue the house to the side of my frame here. And I am just putting some hot glue along the frame and then laying that house right on top, just kind of edging it up and making sure it has a nice fit there. Now I'm taking this family sign from the Crafter Square as well. I paint it with some Waverly Plaster chalk paint, and I'm using dabs of hot glue to adhere it down to my prepared sign. Of course, you could use super glue or an E6000, whatever you're comfortable with. Next, I just took some of this greenery that I had pulled off the stem, and I am just going to form a little wreath right on top of my house by just cutting little snips and hot gluing them down into a circle. If you felt the need, you could trace a little circle onto your house and then just glue your greenery on top of that, but I just kind of eyeballed it and I think it worked out just fine. Here's what it looks like, perfect for a leaner, or you could hang it up on your wall. I just think it's very cute, very farmhouse, very easy to make and inexpensive. Next, I'm going to share with you another home or house DIY that is quick and easy to make. I did get these wood planks from the Dollar Tree Crafter Square, as well as another one of these wood houses from the Dollar Tree Crafter Square. They also come in this black color. And then I have some scrapbook pages from the scrapbook from Michael's. I have a buffalo check page and also one that has some designs on it. Here's what this scrapbook looks like. Michael's has gorgeous scrapbooks and also has them on a pretty great discount, I feel like. So I'm going to begin by removing the handle or the hanger of my little house by just pushing it back through the holes at the top, and then this is what we are left with. I am then going to trace my house onto my scrapbook paper so that I can cut it out and have a perfect sized piece. So just tracing all the way around like so, and then just cutting it out with a pair of scissors. So here's what that looks like. Now I like to use this Elmer's glue stick, and I like to apply it to my item and also to the back of my paper as well, just for extra hold. I smooth my paper on by just pressing it down firmly, and then if you want to go around your edges with some sandpaper just to give it a nice finish look. I also trim off anywhere where there might be a little bit too much paper, so a combination of scissors and sandpaper works for me, but whatever works for you. And now I just chose one of these little designs off my other piece of scrapbook paper. I glued it to one of those wood planks, again from the Crafter's Square, and then I'm just going to trim off the excess. I will then hot glue my wood plank right to the center of my house like so. This DIY is so customizable because you can use any type of scrapbook paper or fabric that you like, any combination. The sky is really the limit. Now I just created a bow by gluing a couple of ribbons together to get the look that I wanted with this burlap and this buffalo check. Then I just formed a bow like so and tied it tightly in the middle with a piece of jute twine, but you could use a pipe cleaner or a zip tie, however you like. I just trim off the excess, and then I have a cute bow to embellish my sign with. I am just going to glue it down at an angle at the corner there of my little wood plank, and here's what that looks like. I did decide to dovetail my tails here, but just folding them over and cutting a triangle upward for a boutique finish. Now I'm just taking a little bit of this greenery that I pulled off of the stem, and I'm just going to place it on either side of the bow, kind of tucking underneath, like so, for some more embellishment and a nice little pop of green color. Here is what this looks like. So inexpensive, so cute and easy. You could even make a few coordinating ones of these for a vignette. For the next that I'm going to share this coffee bar or decorative piece. I think it is so pretty, and I made it using Dollar Tree items from the Crafter's Square. To begin with this, I grabbed this gather sign from the Crafter's Square, and I'm also going to be grabbing 9 of these wooden crates from the Crafter's Square. And you can choose between crates with slats or crates with solid sides. Here's what my 9 look like. I'm going to be gluing together 3 rows of 3. I'm just using hot glue, but I would recommend wood glue or a super glue. So I just hold them together until they're nicely adhered. I'm going to do this 3 times, and then I'm going to take one of my sets and flip it upside down, attaching it to one that is right side up. I do remove all the stickers off of the bottom, and then I'm going to put glue on my last set and set that right on top of the set that's flipped upside down, like so. So you have a front and a back, and your back is double stacked. I'm going to stain my wood with Waverly Antique Wax by rubbing it on and rubbing it off with a damp paper towel. Next, I grabbed up my gather sign and I painted on some antique wax on the gather word and then rubbed that off as well. But you could customize this and use paint, whatever you like. I thought this sign was so beautiful and already framed and already had the word on it. It was just so easy. I also went around the frame with antique wax, wiping it on and off as well so that my stained look matches the gather word. But again, customize this any way that you like. So here's what this looks like. Next, I had 2 pieces of paint stick that I had used in a previous project. It really doesn't matter how long they are, as long as they are the same length. I attached them to the back of my crates, and then I attached them to the back of my gather sign with some hot glue as well. Again, you can have the gap between your crates and your sign as high or as low as you want it, just depending on the length of your paint stir sticks. Now I'm just dry brushing over my crates with some Waverly plaster chalk paint. You can do as heavily or as light as you want. I also went over my gather sign just to tie everything together. I think that this is so pretty, and I love how that it looks. Again, very, very customizable. You could even add more crates to this or less, just depending on the size that you want. It's perfect for a coffee bar or even to hold small decorative items. The sky is really the limit. You could even use it in a crafting space to hold crafting items. Next, we have another Crafter Square DIY, this cute little blessed house. We're going to begin with another sign from the Crafter Square that's framed out, and a piece of scrapbook paper that I got from a scrapbook from Michael's. I cut my scrapbook paper 2 sides, and you will need 2 pieces just because the sign is so long. So I'm just going to place my 2 pieces side by side and try and match them up so that you can't really tell too much. Then I'm going to take another one of these wood planks that come about 6 to a pack from Dollar Tree and just glue another design from my scrapbook pad right on top of that wood plank with my glue stick, and then I will trim it out, and I'm going to hot glue this down on top of my sign where my 2 seams of scrapbook paper meet. This is what this should look like. Now I'm going to come in with another piece of scrapbook paper that I think coordinates and looks really cute. I'm going to cut it down so I have a multi-layer look, and I do that on the other side as well. I just thought this layered look was really nice. And now I have this Dollar Tree sticker that's double-sided. You could use Blessed or Thankful. I chose Blessed across and place it down on top of my scrapbook paper. I created a bow with some Dollar Tree ribbon, dovetailed the ends there, and glued it down to the corner of my sign with hot glue. I'm also going to come back in with some more of this greenery on either side of my bow. I really like how that looks, and I love the color that it adds to my projects. This project, again, is super customizable. Any type of scrapbook paper that you like, any ribbon for the bow. I did just pop a little jute twine bow inside of my larger bow for extra embellishment. Here's what it looks like. So easy, inexpensive, perfect for a wall or a vignette. Next, I'm going to show you how I made this lemon wreath. It was so quick and easy. I think it came out absolutely adorable. So I took one of those pressed wood wreath forms from Dollar Tree, and here I'm showing you that you could use 2 Dollar Tree planks pieced together or this Dollar Tree wall shelf. I actually had a sign that was a perfect size in my stash, so I'm going to use that, but there are other options. I'm going to paint my sign with Waverly Plaster chalk paint. Then I'm going to take these lemon picks that, yes, I found at a Dollar Tree. They were adorable, although I didn't like that one set of darker green leaves, so I did go ahead and remove them by just popping off the lemon, removing the leaves, and then replacing the lemon. Now, once my sign and my wreath ring from Dollar Tree are painted with a Waverly Plaster chalk paint, I'm ready to move on. This time I'm using a Mod Podge, and I'm going to take some lemon fabric that I also got at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to place it down on top of my prepared sign. I'm just going to rub out all the wrinkles, and then I'm going to flip it over and cut off any excess. Now I'm going to glue it to my wreath ring, and Dollar Tree has several different wreath forms if you can't find this exact one. So here's what that looks like. Now I'm taking my wreath picks, and I guess I forgot to remove the green leaves from this one, so I'm doing it here, but I'm going to swag them. I'm going to swag one upwards, one downwards, and then I'm going to take another one and cut off all the little pieces so that I can use that to fill in the middle of this little swag arrangement. So here it is with 2 of them, and now I'm taking everything apart from that third piece, and I'm just going to use hot glue to go ahead and tuck these extra pieces wherever I want them. I glue the lemon around and also arrange that beautiful greenery until I am satisfied with how this wreath looks. I think this wreath comes out so pretty, and I was so thrilled to find these picks at Dollar Tree. Now I have this Love Grows Here sticker from Dollar Tree. It's meant for the wall, but we can use it for crafting. I'm just going to cut off those floral images so I just have my words, and then I'm going to remove this sticker and I'm going to place it down on top of my sign. Once I do that, I am going to Mod Podge over the entire thing, the entire sign that is, just to make sure that my sticker stays nicely in place and I don't have to worry about it peeling off or lifting up. So here is what it looks like all completed. Again, I think it is really pretty, and I am loving the lemons this season. This next DIY is super fun using Dollar Tree items. So I had this little Dollar Tree windmill thing, kind of. I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be, but I also had some Dollar Tree wood panels and 2 of these Dollar Tree wood sign pieces. I'm going to remove the hangers from the top, place them side by side, and then take 3, I only showed 2, but I did use 3 of those Dollar Tree wood panels that come 6 to a pack. If you don't have these, you can use popsicle sticks. I just like to have these when I have them on hand. So I did put 1 in the middle later, so I will have 3 on the back. I flip it over and give it a good coat of my Waverly plaster. Now I'm going to take this tea towel that I purchased from Dollar Tree. They were so pretty and came, I think, 2 to a pack, but I got it. It was in plastic wrap and just looked really high end. I think it was from like a closeout store. I don't know. But anyway, I cut the bottom off where the design was, and I believe one towel comes with a design and one does not. It's just that plain stripe, but I think it's so pretty. So I take this strip, and I did make a hem at the top because my cutting wasn't straight. But anyway, I just glued on the bottom there like you saw me do, tucking it onto the back side, and then I come around with either either one of the sides and just pull them tightly to attach them to the back with some hot glue. I just make sure that that is nicely and tightly pulled, and I make sure that my bottoms are folded over and attached with that hot glue. So I have this really nice, handy, tight pocket at the bottom. And now I'm going to take this little windmill and I'm going to use my snippers to detach it. I actually had to get someone with a little stronger hands to help me, but this is the piece that I wanted, so I just cut this piece off and I glued it down to the top middle of my sign. Now there is a little circular piece that popped off and I just used hot glue to attach that down, but you could use an E6000 or a super glue if you wanted to. Hot glue actually worked fine. I wasn't sure, but it did. Now I have this eucalyptus that I actually purchased from Temu, but you can find similar eucalyptus at Walmart or any craft store. I just cut each piece down individually so I'd have a little more control over how I arranged them, and I just shoved them in my pocket, making sure that a couple of the ones on the ends were kind of fanning outward. After this, I decided I needed a little distressing, so I used a small brush and some Waverly Antique Wax. You could totally do this before you add the greenery, and I also went kind of around that windmill and even on top of it, just adding in a little bit of that antique wax just to kind of shabby it up a little bit, dirty it up a little bit, and make it match in with the design on that towel. But again, this is totally optional and you can use any type of towel or fabric that you have on hand. I wanted to add another little touch to this, so I came in with some Dollar Tree crochet lace. I cut a strip and glued it right on top of where that pocket is, just to add a little something something. And then I took another strip of this lace and tied a little kind of shoelace bow, and then I'm just going to attach that to the top corner of the pocket with some hot glue. And here is what this looks like. I think it is so adorable and so customizable, and you can prop it up or you can add a little hanger to the back with some twine and hot glue, and then it is super versatile in how you use it. So next I'm going to share a Farm Fresh wood round. Here's what it looks like. It was so fun to make. I began with a Dollar Tree wood round, but you can buy a package of wood rounds from Hobby Lobby for a deal. And I also have some wallpaper from Dollar Tree and that little cow on a stand. So I'm going to take my wallpaper and cut it into two pieces to easier work with it. Now I have painted my wood round with Waverly Plaster Chalk Paint, but you can paint or stain any color that you like. I think stain would be pretty too. And I'm just going to apply the two pieces of wallpaper to the top and bottom and then trim around it. Of course, you can trace it out and then attach it, whatever you like, but this works for me. I like to just attach it and trim it out. Then I'm going to take my cow from Dollar Tree. I remove its little base and just trim the little feet. You could sand those if you needed to so nobody gets a little cow foot splinter. And then I'm just using hot glue to attach this to the middle of my round. And now with some Waverly Antique Wax, I'm going to lightly go around the sides where the plaster is showing. But if you stained the middle, you could just use some plaster distressing. Now I'm going to go over the middle with this distressing as well with this Waverly Antique Wax. And then I'm just going to take the brush that I used to do the plaster painting. So it has a tiny bit of that plaster paint on there. And I'm just going to go over my cow. So lots of distressing. If that is not for you, just don't do it. Then I grabbed a Farm Fresh wooden word that came in a package from Dollar Tree last fall. There was all kinds of words, but I chose this one. I painted it with Waverly Plaster and added some distressing. And then I'm going to begin with my bow. I'm really low on Farmhouse ribbons, so I just took this burlap that I had in my stash, folded it over so I have one nice simple loop on either side, and then I'm just going to tie it tightly in the middle with some twine, but you could use a zip tie or a pipe cleaner, whatever you like best. And then I had just a tiny bit of this buffalo check ribbon, so I'm just making one loop on either side. I would have preferred to be able to make 2 loops on either side or even 3 for a fluffier bow, but hey, sometimes you have to work with what you have. So I attached that right on top of this burlap bow, and here's what this looks like. I just fluffed it out and arranged it how I wanted it, and it's ready to attach. So I used some hot glue to attach it right there on top of my wood rounds, and it actually sticks really well to this wallpaper. But if you wanted to use super glue or you felt that E6000 was necessary, totally fine. Now I have some lamb's ear from Hobby Lobby. You get 2 stems together, so I just took each stem and I cut a little off the bottom to make it the right length to go under either side of my bow. I attached with hot glue. I took the couple of leaves that I had removed from the bottom of the stems and just tucked them here and there where I thought they needed to be to kind of fill these sides out. And this was so quick, so easy. It's a very customizable, but I think it is super cute. Dollar Tree also carries a couple other different farmhouse animals on those little signs. If you do not prefer to have a cow on there, you could do a pig, or I think it is a rooster or a chicken, something like that. But it's so cute, so customizable. Moving into our next DIY with these little farm animals. So you're going to begin with 2 cutting boards from Dollar Tree and some Dollar Tree contact paper, as well as the animals of your choice. They have a few different choices on these little stands here. Now I'm just going to trace my cutting boards onto my contact paper. I will then cut the contact paper out. I do paint the sides of my cutting board with some Waverly ink chalk paint, so if they're seen from the side, you can get that nice color effect. Now I'm going to take my piece of contact paper and I'm going to cut a little piece out of the middle before attaching it, and that way when I glue my animal down, it attaches to the cutting board and not just the paper. Now as you can see, I did have to remove the animals from their little stand. If there is any excess there at the bottom, you can just sand the little feet, and here is what this looks like. Next, I'm just going to make little hangers from the top with some ribbon from Dollar Tree by just kind of crossing it over and gluing it in the back, and this adds the perfect little touch for a hanger. And then you have a couple of adorable little signs for your wall. This next DIY is easy as well and very customizable. You can customize your colors, your florals, and your ribbon. Okay, so I'm going to begin with some Waverly ink chalk paint with this set of rings from Dollar Tree. This wooden frame from Dollar Tree came from a canvas from the $3 section. I just removed the canvas and it had this wood underneath. So I'm going to paint my wood frame and my 2 rings with Waverly ink. Then I'm going to glue my 2 rings together. Once that is done, just grab the ribbon of your choice. I had this gingham ribbon in my stash. I'm just going to cut a length off. I'm going to wrap it around the rings and around my frame, and then I'm going to glue it down so it attaches everything together. You can just play with how long you want it to dangle from your frame, but I just glue it down, fold it over, and then glue it down again. And of course you'll want to trim off any excess. Just be careful of your fingers at this part. But I also, as you can see here, made sure that it was secured in the back. So this thing is very secure, not going anywhere. And then once that is all done, you can go ahead and decorate this. I'm going to be using some lamb's ear from Walmart, but Dollar Tree has gorgeous greenery and florals as well. I'm just going to cut off the main part of the lamb's ear. It comes with 2 picks, and then I'm just going to kind of swag it back and forth and glue it down to the top of the ring and also to that ribbon. I have a couple of leaves that I left off, and I can use those after I get my bow placed to kind of fluff out and arrange places that I think are sparse. I'm just going to take that same ribbon and I am going to fold it over until I have 3 loops on either side, and my ribbon did keep twisting, so I just kept untwisting as I went until I had my bow formed, then trimming off the excess, and you'll want to tie it tightly in the middle. I just used a piece of twine, but you could use a zip tie or a pipe cleaner, whatever you prefer. Just remember, the tighter that you tie your bow in the middle, the more you can fluff it out, and the more you fluff it out, the better it looks. So once this is all tied, of course you'll want to cut off any excess, and then you are ready to attach this right on top of the middle of your ring there. So I'm just messing with mine a little bit and then gluing it down with some hot glue. And once that is all done, I'm going to come in with those excess lamb's ear leaves that I talked about leaving for the end. And I'm just going to use hot glue to kind of position them wherever I think they need to be. Now, I will say some of those little lamb's ear leaves kind of overlap the sides of your frame. And I did tack those down lightly with some dabs of hot glue to hold everything in place. I did make a smaller one loop on either side bow with that ribbon, and I did attach that right in the middle of my larger bow because I thought that would be a nice added touch. And I did decide I wanted some tails, so I just left tails on that smaller bow, and then they're dangling down. I do cut my tails at a slant just to kind of, oh nope, I didn't cut them at a slant, I dovetailed them. So that means I just folded them over and cut a triangle upward for a nice boutique finish. But you could cut them at a slant if you wanted to, and here's what it looks like. I just think that this is so pretty, so easy, and very high-end looking for just a few dollars. And I hope that you like this one. So that is it for me. I truly hope you enjoy these 23 best of 2023 DIYs. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't and give me a big thumbs up. Once again, thank you so much for your support in 2023. I truly appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one.